Hi, this is Dan and Lexi from Dan Schultz Outdoors, reminding you, keep the adventures alive. Hey y'all, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Colleen. And we're the Keel Quest. And we want you to keep the adventures alive. Cheers!
Hey, this is Darren from Ride Paddle Repeat, encouraging you to keep the adventures alive.
This is David from Beachley Ironworks saying keep the adventures alive.
Hey, Kevin with an A here. Keep the adventure alive.
Hi, I'm Dan Mayotte. Keep the adventures alive.
Hi, I'm Kevin Callan, the Happy Camper. Remember, keep the adventures alive. Awesome!
Woo, buddy! Shug here! Keep the adventures alive. I am.
Ethan here, the Avid Outdoorsy Guy, reminding you to keep the adventures alive.
We're John and Aaron.
Keep the adventures alive.
Hey everyone, it's Callan from Lure of the North, and I encourage you to keep the adventures alive.
This is Sky North telling you, keep the adventures alive. And now on with the show.
Well, hello everybody and happy Tuesday evening. Dennis from CanoeHound Adventures here. Hope everybody has had a fantastic, not 1 week, but two. I kind of missed last week show because I had a bit of a chest congestion thing going on. And yeah, I wasn't feeling very good. And it would have looked pretty silly if I just sat here staring at the camera saying nothing because I had absolutely no voice. So feeling a little better now. Probably got a little bit of a frog in the throat still, but we'll get through it tonight. And we do have a very interesting show for you. Anyways, if this is your first time checking out CanoeHound's Outdoor Adventure Show, thank you very much for joining in tonight. We got a great topic. You know what? Starting to feel the freedom in the air, right? At least around here, with everything starting to open up and regulations starting to lax a bit. And this is a true sign that things are starting to relax a bit because we have an outdoor type of show coming up that we all get to go to if we're in the area. Anyways, we got a few things here that we got to take care of before we get into tonight's topic, and that'll allow that there chat over there to get populated. So by all means, I'm just going to acknowledge my sponsors for tonight's show. First, I'd like to acknowledge Algonquin Outfitters, our good friends with 4 key locations situated around Algonquin Park. If you're ever looking for anything to be rented for a great canoe trip or hiking trip through the park, by all means, stop in and check out an Algonquin Outfitters location. Their knowledgeable staff will get you all situated and on the trail or on the water. I also like to thank our good friends over at Kid Products, makers of the Kid Twig Stove and Reflector Oven. You know how I feel about these products. They're something that I use all the time when I'm in the outdoors. So by all means, Kid Products is a great product if you're looking for a reflector oven or a twig stove. Also like to thank our friends over at Hunter and Harris Paddles, makers of handcrafted high quality canoe paddles, works of art that will propel you across the water. And of course, Novacraft Canoe, been outfitting people with canoes since I believe 1970. So if you're ever in the market for a great canoe, check out Novacraft Canoes. And then also, if you're a coffee lover, by all means, go online and check out this company called Whitewater Coffee and Crew. They got some great fresh roasted coffees that they offer. They do ship to your door, and you know what? You won't be making a mistake by grabbing some of this stuff. I know I drink it all the time. I do have some going right now, my Canoe Hound Adventures cup. So cheers to all of them. You know what? All their links can be found in the description below. So please do support the sponsors. They help make this show possible. And without their support, there probably honestly would not be a show. Yeah, by all means. Anyways, let's see here. Like I mentioned, last week there was no show. But the week before, we had a really cool show. And I don't mean cool in the respect of being cold, but it was a good, knowledgeable show that taught a lot of people how to sleep warm in backcountry cold winter conditions. You know what? One of the best parts of being in the backcountry in the wintertime is being comfortable and staying warm. But it's not a lot of fun if your sleep system fails you and makes you cold. So if you've had that problem, go back and check out the show. You'll find it in our past shows. What do you call it there? In our past shows category there on Canoe Hound Adventures. And you know what? You will find it. You'll find that and many others. And you'll find out how to sleep warm when you're in the backcountry. We had a couple of great guests on the show that really shared a lot of knowledge with us. And that really helped the evening go along well. And we taught a lot of people a lot of good things about staying warm. So by all means, do check that out. Just really quickly want to thank all my channel members for your support here over the past. We do have channel memberships available. If anybody is interested, you'll see a little join button down around here somewhere. Feel free to click that and see what we have to offer as far as channel memberships. For as little as 3 cents a day, you could help support the channel, helps offset the costs of all the stuff that goes into doing this, streaming softwares and things of that sort. So by all means, any support there is greatly appreciated. And yeah, that's a good thing. So thank you very much to all my channel supporters that we have to this point. If you're looking to find out what's going on with upcoming shows, follow us on Facebook at Canoe Hounds Outdoor Adventure Show, and we post on there what's coming up. We'll have links on there and thumbnails and stuff like that, so that you know exactly what's going on. That doesn't cost you a penny to follow us there, just to keep up to date with what's going on. Once again, I always reach out to everybody, and this is something that really helps me try to come up with show ideas and topics. I like to hear from you, the viewers. I'd like to know exactly what you'd like to see on the show, topics that you'd like to see us cover, or perhaps maybe guests that you'd like to see us have on the show. Of late, over the winter time, it's always a hard time for us to try and find topics and guests for the show. That's why I missed a couple weeks ago there. I had no topic. So basically that was kind of difficult. Last week was a different story. I was sick, but it always helps. If you guys can support by just throwing in some information and things that you'd like to see on the show, by all means, I'll try to make it happen. So you can drop those emails to canoehound@gmail.com. And last but not least, for tonight's topic, if you have any questions for myself, or more importantly, for our guest on the show, please do put the word question in capital letters in the chat over there, and I will do my darndest to get them up. But after the 8 o'clock hour, I will also invite you up. And if you'd like to join the panel for a few minutes and maybe ask a question of myself or the guest, by all means, please do, because your participation is always welcome. Before we get into tonight's topic, you'll notice up there over the chat that there is a little poll that I put up there. Like I said, things are starting to free up a bit, and there's a lot of outdoor shows that are coming up here in the near future. So if you plan on participating, hit yes. If you plan on not participating in any of these shows or going to them, hit no. But if you're going to tonight's or to the Ontario Backcountry Canoe Symposium, There's a line on there for that too. I'd like to know who's going to be going to the show. I'll be there. I've got my tickets already. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into tonight's topic. Tonight's guest is a retired elementary school teacher from the Kitchener area, and he's the founder and organizer of the Ontario Backcountry Canoe Symposium and its sister symposium, the Ontario Winter Camping Symposium. He's a dedicated flatwater, solo, and tandem canoeist whose favorite paddling destination is anywhere in Killarney Provincial Park. Currently, he's working on the 10th annual edition of the Ontario Backcountry Canoe Symposium. Please welcome to the live stream, Mr. David Bain. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well. Dennis, thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, you know what? It's always an exciting thing to have you on the show to talk about the Canoe Symposium. I think this is like the third year that we've had you on the show to talk about it. And it's because I dig going to the show. It's always a good time. You meet some great people and you get to hear some really good presentations.
Yeah, and you know, I think I hear over and over again, this is going to be our 10th annual show, 11 years, but we missed one with COVID. That the thing that people most look forward to isn't so much the speakers or the vendors, although those are great, but just getting to see people they haven't seen in a long time and touching base with people and talking and, oh, you know, you're going to be there, I'm going to be there, let's have lunch during the break or something. And so people say that quite a bit, that it's an opportunity to meet up and talk to people you don't get to see all that often. So hopefully, because we haven't been able to do much of that for the last 2 years, fingers crossed, everything's going well, and it'll be our opportunity to get that going. So
sure. And you know what? With you saying that, you know, it's funny you say that because the last time I went to the symposium, I met a couple of my followers there. Actually, I see him. He's in the chat there right now. Seasons of Serenity, Daniel. We actually got to be buddies, and we actually did a canoe trip after the show and stuff like that. So, like, you know what? It's like you say, it's a great way to connect with people that you might follow on YouTube or anywhere throughout the outdoors community, because a lot of the people from this Southern Ontario region will be at the symposium.
Hopefully, yeah, and you're right. It's hi, Vicky. Vicky just said hi.
Hi, Vicky.
It's amazing how many people I hear say things like exactly what you just said. You know, I talked to so-and-so online, and I didn't even know they were going to be at the symposium, and I ended up running into them, and now we go on trips. And so it's turned into a real networking opportunity for people. And in addition, you get to hear some great speakers, and you get to see some vendors with stuff that you're maybe looking for, and you want to pick some things up for the upcoming season. So, yeah, it's kind of a win-win that way.
Yeah, I know, like, you know, heck, man, some of the good vendors you've had there in the past. You've had Lure of the North were there. I believe at the last live event there, Dave actually presented, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah. And actually, Kai, my understanding was Kai was going to present with him. Yeah. And then they gave me some sort of, you know, wishy-washy, she couldn't make it sort of thing. And then, of course, you find out it's because she's on alone.
Right, yeah.
So she wasn't even around. So, yeah, I guess
that's an acceptable excuse. Hey, she's a little tied up right now.
Yeah. She's not local right now. So, yeah, Dave came down by himself. Yeah, we've had Lure of the North. We've had, from down your end of things, Outdoors Oriented.
Yeah.
You know, and different canoe. We've had Swift Canoe, Badger Paddles, and Hunter and Harris have been there. And, you know, now this time around, we're all playing the COVID dance, and some people have had to lay off staff, and so they don't have enough staff to do the show and keep their store open and so on. But we're still going to have lots of vendors, and but they may be different than what people are used to seeing, or people that you haven't seen there before, or some of the companies even, like I look back through my past sponsors, just sort of talking with Matt Olson, my social media vendor organizer guy. And I'd say, oh, have you talked to so-and-so? And they say, yeah, they're not in business anymore. You know, COVID knocked them out of the game. So we've been digging around and trying to give some new opportunities. We actually just got today or yesterday, I'm going to have to look at the name. Organic Boat Shop, which is from down your end of things again as well. They're going to be coming up, brand new company. They're bringing up some Winona canoes, and we're going to have John Babulik there, who makes Backcountry Custom over in Guelph. He's going to have his canoes there as well as speaking, and so yeah, it's going to Trip Shed, which is a new company since the last time we had a live symposium. They're going to be there with stuff. So lots of vendors, lots of things to do, and Friends of Temagami will be there, of course, as they always are, have been since the very beginning. So we really appreciate their support, and they've been coming religiously every year. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
it's going to be a lot of things besides just listening to speakers or talking to your buddies that you haven't seen for a couple years.
Yeah, but that social aspect.
But it's huge, isn't it?
What's going on these days?
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be so nice to connect with people.
Absolutely. That's why I like to give a nice long lunch break.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when we end, it's a little bit flexible, 11:45, 12 o'clock. I always make it at least an hour and a quarter, because I know people, A, they need to be able to, head out to one of the local shawarma restaurants or something, but B, they just want to sit down and talk to people, right? Which is great. So want to give them a good long break.
You know what we did for lunch break at the last show was we actually had a tailgate party.
Hey, perfect.
Yeah. A few of us went out there. We had the barbecue out there, some munchies, a couple of brown paper bags. And yeah, it was actually nothing wrong with a brown paper bag. But no, you know what? It was a really good time, and really added to that connection, right? So
yeah, for sure. And actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. That had never occurred. I mean, I'm usually running around at lunch trying to make sure the wheels haven't fallen off something. But yeah, what a great opportunity to connect with people and share brown paper bags.
Yeah. This year I'll be out front selling hot dogs. No.
Or pizza slices or something.
Be an outdoor vendor, right?
Yeah.
So you know what? Like over this whole since 2020, the last show, which was a really good show. You had some really good guests. That was with Dave Maroney was talking. Jim Baird was there.
Just a sec. I have
Rogers was there, and who else?
Just one sec. I've got my past speakers list pulled up here because I knew if you asked me, I'd probably forget somebody.
Yeah.
So, you mean the last live show?
The last live show.
That's 2019, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, the last live show, I think you're thinking of maybe the winter one. The summer one, we had Marion Sontag and Jeremy Shute from Guelph, who paddled with his family from Guelph he was heading to the Atlantic Ocean. He'd gotten as far as the Erie Canal the last time we touched base with him. And Kevin was there. I think he did his once around Algonquin thing with Andy. Yeah. Doug,
that's right. Yeah, you're correct. I was stuck on the winter one.
Yeah, you know what? And I do that all the time. People say to me, "Oh, I saw this," and I'm thinking, okay. I can't even keep them straight. Like, was that a winter one? Because Jim Baird's spoken at both, so it's hard to keep track of what's going on. But yeah, it was a great live show. The highlight of that, again, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll bring that up later.
Okay.
You and I are going to talk about speakers and
yeah. So tell me, like with the cancellation of the show last year and the year before, like what kind of an effect has it had? Has it had any type of effect besides not having the show?
I think that's to be determined. I don't know. Like the tickets, we went on sale last Friday because it was really only a week ago yesterday that we got the thumbs up to go to do the show. Matt had to make sure we had enough vendors because it's really the vendors plus the ticket sales that make it possible to rent the theater, which is not an inexpensive thing. And so we've had a week. The tickets went on sale Friday, and we sold more than half of them on Friday. Yeah. And so now we're up at 85% gone. So we only have 15% left, which is about a little over 50 tickets. From
That's all you have left.
That's all we have left.
Well, let's see if we can't sell them tonight, everybody. Here's the link. If anybody's looking to pick up any tickets, I just dropped the link into the chat there.
Perfect.
You heard it right here. 50 tickets. You want to get on before you can't.
Yeah, and they tend to sell in clumps, right? Like somebody will say to their friend, "Oh, do you want to go?" Yeah, and I'm bringing Jeff and this and that. And the next thing you know, they take 6. And so you only need 10 people to do that, and they're gone, right? So they can go in huge, quick clumps. And I, I'll go to bed early at 10 or something and get up the next morning, and then another 30 have gone overnight. Because some people gone on at 11 o'clock, finally heard back from their buddy and said, "Yeah, let's go." So we've been it's been going leaps and bounds, and like I said, only about 50 tickets left. So yeah,
so now this symposium is really we'll call it intimate for being, for lack of a different term, because your capacity at this show is how many people?
400.
400.
But it doesn't look like 400.
No,
not at all.
Sure, in the state, in the state,
in
or
the seats. There's
theater, in the theater.
Yeah, there's only 20 rows, and so anybody, like, honestly, other than if you've been to the Stratford Festival Theater, I think it's about the same, but it doesn't have a balcony up top. The Festival Theater has a balcony, but the only thing you don't want to do is be too far to the side. So I actually don't sell the whole 400. I sell 360 and keep 2 seats down both outside edges unsold so that I can make sure everybody can see.
Right. Yeah.
I've had people say to me, "Well, I'd pay. I'd sit over at the side. I don't care." Yeah, but if you can't see properly, it's different from a play. A lot of it is people showing maps and photos of their trip and stuff.
Right.
And
big screen.
If you're too oblique to that screen, it's not a good experience. So I leave those unsold, which cuts into the I gotta make sure I cover all the costs, but I just feel strongly I don't want people sitting where they can't get a good view. So
yeah, and that makes a difference. But yeah, you know what? I know that during the speakers rotation, there some people will still linger in the hallways and chat with the vendors
like it's rare that you get all 360 people sitting down at the same time. Right. As you said, somebody will say, "Oh, I'm going to miss the first 5 minutes, or I'm going to get up 10 minutes early before this speaker ends because I really want to go and touch base with so-and-so out in the hall and make sure I buy that whatever for my wife for her birthday or something, or talk to the people from Friends of Temagami because I really got to find out about this portage, and they're available right now because during lunch hour they're snowed and you can't get near them maybe, and so you want to go and make sure you have their full attention." So you're right. It's never all 400 or 360 people sitting all at the same time, and we leave the doors at the back open so people can come in and out. But it's intimate. It's a great word, and that's why I wish and you and I again, we were talking about this before the show started. You and I have had to sort of cajole people to do our shows because they're afraid of speaking in front of people, understandably, if they've never done it. And the point that you just made is one I make all the time. It's like, you're not going to think there's 400 people in front of you. It does not feel like that in that theater. Back when we used to run it at the Princess, it was 150 seats. Didn't feel anything like 150 seats. It was really, really an intimate setting. And this one, even though it's twice the size and plus a bit, is the same. It's very intimate. And, we use a mic, obviously, but you really could almost get away without having a mic. It's that you feel like you're that close to the speaker. So, it's a good venue for that.
Do you wish you had a bigger venue?
Yes and no. If I had a bigger venue, with every opportunity comes challenges, right? You lose the intimacy. right? Like I guess I could go crazy and try and rent the Sarin the Square in town. KW's a little short on venues, and people, I've had people in the past say, "Why are you running a winter camping symposium in Kitchener, Waterloo?" Because I live in Kitchener, Waterloo.
It's a matter of convenience.
It's really hard to organize something in Barrie when you live in Kitchener. It's not ideal in any way, shape, or form. So we just don't have a lot of venues, and there are some that you could say might be better, but they're not available. Sarin the Square Saturdays, it's always the Symphony. There's a new hall at the University, Wilfrid Laurier University, beautiful new hall, and they use it to write exams in. So when my shows are on, they tend to be doing exams at the same time, and so it's not available. Even Milton has a performing arts center or something like that, and I kind of thought, that'd be about as far as I could go and still sort of run it effectively from Kitchener. And I contacted them, and they're like, "Oh no, Saturdays, or forget it. You're never going to get Saturday." So I just feel really lucky that we have what we have. The Princess Theater was great. The John Tutt is a great guy. The guy who runs the Princess has since '85, and he's done a lot with canoeing. He premiered Bill Mason's Water Walker film at the Princess, and he's had Becky Mason in, and he used to do the Water Walker Film Festival for the people on the chat that are old enough to remember that one before the Real Paddling Film Festival came along. They used to be the Water Walker, and he's done a lot, and he was great to me. But it got to the point where I wanted some more vendor space, and he just didn't have the lobby. So we went to where we are now and got a little more vendor space, and I think people have appreciated that. It certainly opened up the vendors I could bring in. Like I could never have had, Lure of the North and Outdoors Oriented and all those folks. Swift Canoes at the old venue. They couldn't have brought any product in. So yeah.
Space is at a premium, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what? You seem to make it work, and the fact that it sells out, you don't have to worry about. You can set your budget, and you're going to be able to make your budget, right? So that's a good thing.
That's true, and we've sold out every single show we've ever done. Between this will be our 10th because of the COVID cancellation. This will be our 10th annual, and we've done 3 winter camping. 2 winter camping. And 12 shows, they've all sold out. So we're very lucky that way.
It's funny because in preparation for this show, my initial thumbnails that I put out they all said the 11th annual.
Well, it's been 11 years, but we skipped a year. So
So there was a little confusion there, right? I had to go back and backtrack. So if anybody noticed that, I jumped from 11th to 10th. That's the reason
thought that was wonderfully optimistic of you. Honestly, I did. I thought, this guy's got a vote of confidence here. We're going to make 11. I'm impressed.
I've already got the thumbnails for next year's show. And you know what? All I need to do now is just change the date. That's all.
Change the date. There you go.
So you and I kind of teamed up.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I wrote on your coattails or whatever, but the last symposium that you had, because of all this COVID stuff, we actually did a live stream of the symposium.
Yes, we did.
A live version of it, and that went off very, very well.
I don't think people remember how dark those times were.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go April the 4th, 2020. And I was the first show to cancel. I pulled the plug March the 12th. And the Outdoor Adventure Show didn't cancel till, they did theirs. Sorry, it was Canoecopia and some of those others. They didn't pull the plug right away. They kept sort of thinking they could make it work. And those were dark, dark times.
Yeah.
my partner Susan and I mean, we're really lucky. We, have for two people, we have a nice sized house, and we're not on top of each other. But I mean, she and I had to isolate for 14 days, and like it was dark times.
Yeah.
And so I talked to you, and I said, let's do something to help people out and give them something to look forward to and stuff. But I mean, I didn't have the technology, and so you were kind enough to offer your channel and sort of MC and get everybody signed in, and it hopefully people look back fondly on that. I didn't do it last year because I felt like we were sort of past the darkness.
Yeah.
And as we've already talked about, to me, the strength of the show is sort of the networking and social aspect. And during COVID, there's been not a proliferation of shows. I mean, your show predates COVID, but there's plenty of online stuff. If people want to do online, there's plenty of online. So I felt like, okay, I don't need to do an online one this past year. We'll just skip over it and go again when we can. So, I'm looking forward to doing it live. Now, caveat, and let's get this out of the way right now. The university, and it's their venue, they have COVID procedures in place. And this is on our website. And if you bought a ticket, this came up and, you read it. But yes, they are still checking vaccine passports. I know the Ontario government is moving past that. Frankly, I'm not going to offer an opinion either way because I don't think this is something we don't need to get political. But the venue insists on passports, and they're going to insist on masks. And it's either not run it, or we put up with that one more time, and hopefully when we meet again in November, we're past all that. So, I just want everybody listening to know this is not the shows. I have no say in this whatsoever. It is the venue. And, there's nothing I can do about that.
So there you go. You answered Dan Spatafora's
question. Yes, I see Dan was asking. Great question, Dan. They are, as of the last I heard, and I honestly don't expect them to change their mind. Between you, me, and the tree, I kind of went up one side of them and down the other about the passports. Not so much the masks. I mean, 400 people in a small space, I can still see. The vaccine passport, I said, hey, nobody else is going to be asking for them. What's the deal? And they just, they're saying till the end of term. And the end of term is the end of April. So they're going with that.
There you go.
If they change it,
you never know what may happen, but
you never know.
Go under pretenses that we're going to need to be armed.
We're just counting on everybody to be sociable about that and be mature about it. And I don't even really want to talk about it anymore, other than everybody needs to be aware that, we've got to follow the rules because those are the rules of the venue.
Yeah, that's cool. And you know what, though? Just for the record, had you wanted to do the symposium live again last year, I would have more than gladly helped you with posting it because, you know what, I was so disappointed when I got my refund back in 2020 for my tickets, right? It's like, oh, man, I want to go to the show.
You know what? Nobody cares, but I'll tell you, I had to do all those refunds manually.
Gosh.
There's no Eventbrite sort of mass refund button that I could find.
Right.
And so I had to go through every ticket and refund it. So on March the 12th, I'm like punching madly trying to refund everybody. And it was just dark times. I even hate thinking back to it, really. It's nice to move on.
Yep. And speaking of moving on, let's get into this year's show. I know you've got a really exciting show with some great speakers. First off, location, dates, and ticket prices.
Okay, so the location is at the University of Waterloo. On their campus, they have, at least two theaters. They have a large one called the Humanities Theater. We're not in that one. We're in the more intimate Theater of the Arts. So when you buy a ticket, there is a map showing you where to park and how to get to the Theater of the Arts. It's on April the 9th, so we're coming up. Normally, we put tickets on 4 months before the event. This time, we put them up, I don't know, 7 weeks before the event or something. So, and we had no idea how it would go, and it's gone very, very well. So thank you to everybody who's purchased a ticket. So Saturday, April 9th, the doors open at 9 a.m. Speakers start at 10, so you have an hour. Kind of go in and reserve your seat, pick a seat. There's no reserved seats. You just put your coat down somewhere. All the seats are great, but Dennis, you probably have a favorite seat, so you'll rush in and get that seat.
The first one I find empty.
There you go. They'll be checking passports and stuff at the door. We'll give you a door prize ticket. And Dennis can tell you, most years we have, last year, last time we did this live, we had 45 door prizes.
Yeah, they're all across the stage.
Yeah. Now, again, with COVID, I mean, Matt's organizing that. I mean, if we only have 20, I'm sure there'll be 20 great door prizes. So, but we've certainly been blessed in the past to get lots of great door prizes. So you get a door prize ticket. You go in, pick your seat. You got an hour to look at the vendors. Then we have 2 speakers in the morning. We got an hour and a quarter lunch break, 2 speakers in the afternoon. We'll be done. It's flexible, depends on, how long some of the speakers go. Generally, they're 45 minutes. And then we hand out door prizes in between. So we'll finish up sometime around 3:30. And then you still have some time if you want to, you've been thinking about whether you're going to buy that axe or whatever it is. You can make a last purchase on your way out the door. And you should be out of there between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. Tickets are $17. I keep getting people telling me, Dave, just make it 20, just make it 20. But 10 years ago I started at 12, and we're trying to keep it down. So costs have gone up. We're at 17. You can get a youth ticket for 10. That's 8 to 12-year-olds for $10. So we've sold a few of those. And we often see families show up, I have some volunteers that come, and the son was fortunate or unfortunate enough to have me as a teacher. He still comes to all the symposiums. He's a twig stove nut, and he'll help with door prizes and stuff. And so, he's been coming since he was 9 or something like that. So, yeah, lots, even for the young folks to sort of check out if they're interested.
Yeah, and your volunteers do a great job too. They get you in there, get you situated and comfortable, and
we try and move the line along as quickly as we can. So, yeah, just have your ticket ready. We try and be sort of laid back, about things. Don't think anybody's trying to sneak in. We're all a pretty honest group of people. So, flash your ticket in, you go. Enjoy your day.
Yep, that's awesome. So you actually have some great speakers that are going to be at the show this year. Do you want to go through the lineup of speakers?
Absolutely. Let's talk about speakers. And I'm just this is pathetic, but I'm tapping on the website because it doesn't matter how many times I do this, I'm going to leave somebody out or something dumb. So I'm making sure I've got it down. So we have 4 speakers. As I said, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. There's actually a schedule as to who goes when. So why don't I just run through the day the way it's going to be. We're going to start with Mercedes Rogers. And Mercedes has spoken before at the Winter Symposium, actually. And her husband, Mike McIntosh, prior to marrying Mercedes, actually spoke at the very first symposium way back in 2012. So the 2 of them, Dennis, I don't know if you've had Mercedes and Mike on the show.
Mercedes has been on the show. Yes, she was a guest. Was it earlier this season or late last season? Yeah.
Okay. And so they do everything as a family, which I think is fantastic. So she is coming to talk about the fact that given COVID and the fact that she couldn't do her regular summer gig, which is as the canoe director of canoeing at Taylor Staton Camps. Am I saying that right? Taylor Staton? Stratton?
I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, she and Mike and the 2 kids went on a month-long adventure in Temagami. Month-long without resupply. I think. So they carried everything necessary for 1 month in the bush. So they have actually a I don't know if they have a YouTube channel, but I know they
I don't think
they
so.
post things on Facebook with the hashtag at home in the bush.
Mhm.
And so if you want to check that out, they talk a lot about, okay, you know, what do we take for food? How do we carry enough gear and food for a month and 2 kids and, you know, all in one canoe, no resupply. So she asked me what I wanted her to talk about in terms of the 1 month trip. And I said, I thought people would find it very interesting to learn about sort of the menu and how they approach the food aspect. Because I mean, I don't know about you, Dennis, but my buddies and I mean, the longest we tend to go is 5 nights.
Mhm.
Have to get 4 guys together, you know, to do more than 5 nights. And we're always struggling. Like, what are we going to do the 5th night? You know, that's not going to last and stuff. And I mean, here's Mercedes and Mike and the kids, and they eat like kings and queens, man. Like, yeah. So she's going to talk a lot about food and gear. You know, how do you pare things down so you can portage without killing yourself? And because I mean, if I went for a month, I'd feel like I'd have like a hockey bag full of stuff, you know, and that wouldn't include the food. So anyway, so that's what Mercedes is going to talk about.
And we got to add to that too, that Mercedes kids are they're children. Like one is a toddler, and the other one maybe 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, maybe 3 to 5 somewhere.
Yeah, so they need to have a menu that's going to keep the kids satisfied too, because you know how children are with their, you know, what they want to eat and stuff like that, right?
That's right. And you know, they have to be able to take stuff to keep them entertained, right? Like you got a rain day, you know, I don't think they care that I don't think they have rain days. Knowing Mercedes like I do, I mean, she probably just power right through that. But, you know, I think the kids are allowed to take some toys or something. So, I mean, you know, they've got that all worked out, right?
Yep.
And so she spoke about sort of that aspect of it at one of the winter symposiums. So I'm not sure she's going to spend a ton of time on the infant angle, how to trip with an infant, but I'm sure it'll come up. But she's definitely going to be talking about food and gear for a month-long trip. So, I mean, I'm right there. I know I'm going to learn tons because I've recently got into twig stoves since COVID. Twig stoves got me through COVID. I used to hike here in town. We have some decent trails that make you feel like you're out of the city, where you can kind of get up over a hill into a woodlot where, you know, nobody's going to see you. And you set up a chair and a tarp and a twig stove, and you can get a little bit of a something. Because remember, wasn't that long ago we couldn't even go camping, right? They knocked down seriously. So anyway, I've just gotten into twig stoves and stuff. So
as an FYI to everybody, if you want to find Dave his alter ego, you could go to Facebook onto Twig Stove Aficionados, and he's a regular poster on there.
and one of your regulars, Martin Pine, is a regular there as well. So
I love my twig stoves as well. So.
Oh yeah, you know what? I finally went on my first trip where I didn't take any other type of stove. I just took a twig stove. And there was supposed to be some rain. So the first day when I got there, I made sure I gathered enough wood for, you know, the whole 3 days and kept it under the tarp sort of thing. And it was quite the experience. I really enjoyed the challenge of it. So that was new for me. So then our second speaker, similar to the online symposium that we did 2 years ago now, is John Babulik from Backcountry Custom Canoes in Guelph. Now, John, in his earlier life, in another life, I don't know if you know this about him, he made split bamboo fly fishing rods. And he is a trout nut. He will drive crazy distances to fish for trout. And apparently, I didn't know this, Ontario has 6 native types of trout. Including one that's only found in Ontario. Aurora trout, yeah. So John's going to talk about trout fishing, but not just trout fishing, but trout fishing with a canoe. Because John is adamant that you don't fish from a canoe, you fish with a canoe. The canoe to him is part of the rod. And he's a very accomplished trout fisherman in general. And certainly I've taken what he's taught me and applied it to what he calls green fish, so bass. And on my last trip up in Haliburton Highlands, I used his trout fishing method, but modified it for bass. And I caught more bass than I've ever caught in my whole life. Like, it was crazy. So he's going to be talking about searching for the elusive 6 species of trout and how to catch them with a canoe, which can be applied to many types of fish, not just trout. But I'm sure if you're like me, you can end up adapting that to bass or pike or whatever it is you want to catch. So that's our morning. Then we have our break. And then in the afternoon, we start off with Brad and Leah Jennings, who again spoke at the online symposium. Now, Brad and Leah every summer go on these crazy
bucket list trips. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he and his father, Wayne, years ago spoke at the KW Canoe Symposium back when it was at the other venue. And they called themselves Exploring the Backcountry. So Brad, I think, still uses that. And they basically pick, some lost canoe route that people don't do anymore, or, well, that used to be a route. It's in the old 1950s M&R pamphlet. I think there's some rusty signs up there somewhere, it hasn't been maintained for 30 years. And they just go and do that. So they're actually talking about a route in Quebec. And I'm going to mangle the name. It's the Tichigami River, I believe. But they did that last summer during COVID. So they're going to talk about that trip. And they're great speakers. Brad, I could listen to Brad and Leah talk about anything. I don't care. Yep. Brad's thesis was on the invasion of earthworms into Algonquin Park. And I was explaining that to Susan, and she said, well, is he talking about that? And I said, well, no, but he'd make it interesting,
Yeah, right.
He did. So, yeah. And then our last speaker is a gentleman that you're familiar with, and is kind of local to your part of the world.
Yep.
Mr. Adam Schultz. Am I saying that correctly? It is
Adam Schultz, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like Sergeant Schultz, but he spells it differently. So, Adam.
Forgive me, I'm just trying to pull up my book here.
Yeah, you got his book? I've got his books over in the bookcase, but I didn't get them. I got the History of Canada in 10 Maps. That's his latest one. And that's the one he's going to be talking about. So if you've seen his newest, I know it's a Canadian bestseller. It's about a trip to Labrador. And so Adam is coming to do his presentation. One small caveat, he's actually doing 2 talks on Saturday the 9th. So he's doing one down in your area somewhere, Niagara region, and then he's coming up to Waterloo. So if you see me with a bit of a panicked look on my
good thing you got him in the afternoon, right?
So I may have to have some talk in my back pocket that I can whip out till he gets there, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah. Anyway, he is coming to talk, and we're very, very excited to have him. I've never heard Adam speak. So I'm looking forward to that personally. Just I've only spoken to him on text messages and stuff. So I'll be glad to meet him. I think he's done something that I wish happened more often, and that is somebody took a pastime that you and I and everybody that's in our chat here tonight is passionate about, and that's canoeing. And he's almost sort of brought it to a different audience, or a younger or a broader audience. I don't know. This may sound a little weird. I think you'll understand because you're my generation kind of, but he's kind of the Pierre Berton of canoeing. I think about it. Like Pierre Berton knew how to write a book about some aspect of Canadian history that, like the CPR, which could be the dullest book you've ever read, and he made it exciting, right? And Adam, from what I've read all of his books except his latest one. I haven't read that one yet. But he manages to write them in a way that I bet you people who don't even canoe enjoy. Well, they must, because they make the Canadian bestsellers list, and
Mm-hmm.
I know we think there's a lot of canoeists out there, but there can't be that many that your book's going to make the Canadian bestsellers list if it's just canoers they're reading it. So I think he's really broadened the audience for what you and I and everybody else here likes to do, and I'm really looking forward to hearing him.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. He is a great writer.
Yeah, he
this
is.
book here. If anybody really knows me, they know that I'm not much of a reader. My attention span is very short sometimes when it comes to that stuff. I get reading, and before you know it, my mind has drifted off to something else. This book here, I actually read personally in like 5 sittings, perhaps.
Wow.
And that's uncommon for me. I was just mesmerized by the book, the way he told the story of his adventure, which the whole thing was a true encounter of his actual trip that he did.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had him on my show as a guest to talk about the book, I was just mesmerized and just right into what he was saying, because he's a very good speaker too, and he knows how to tell the tale.
He does. And actually, little shout out for him.
Yeah.
If you have Netflix, pretty sure it's Netflix. It might be Amazon Prime. Those are the only 2 streaming systems I have. But I think it's Netflix. His film Alone Across the Arctic is on there and is very worth watching.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I make a habit out of going to the Rogers Ignite button and going over to movies and then just hitting free to me, and there'll be like 19,000 movies, and you have to go through them. So I'll put them alphabetical and just start scrolling through, and I may end up with like 5 that I would watch. But all of a sudden, I don't know, 2 months ago, boom, up pops Alone Across the Arctic by Adam Schultz, and it's like, wow. I remember when that was something you had to pay for. First of all, here it is on Netflix for free, and what a great film. Just fantastic thing to watch. I was, again, mesmerized by it. It was, and what an adventure. I mean, he started at, don't quote me, but I think he started at Dempster Highway, and he basically pulled a canoe on a cart, so portage to the headwaters of some rinky-dink creek, and just started paddling east till he hit, the Thalon, and then went down the Thalon, as we're all familiar if we read any of those kind of things or have been up there, till you end up at Baker Lake or someplace like that near Hudson's Bay. So he went across there by himself. Oh, Prime. Somebody's saying it's on Prime. Yeah.
He thinks
it's on one or the other. So
I know I'll be looking for it.
Yeah, if you have Prime or Netflix, check, because it's worth watching. It's a great film. Great film. And most of it's shot, by him, because he's alone. And he, he's a fun guy to listen to, and and just shake your head. It's like listening to Jim Barrett. It's just like, what are you doing, man? Like, crazy, just crazy stuff. But somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah, and there's only a select handful of people out there, that we know of that actually document, because of like through YouTube and stuff like that, right? That we see doing these types of things. You got the Baird Boys, you got Justin Barber doing all kinds of stuff, you've got Adam Schultz doing stuff, the Northern Scavengers,
and thank goodness. And there was a young lady who just finished, not strictly canoeing, but she went east to west on the first person to do the Trans-Canada Trail. And honestly, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but like that's, I don't know, I hate cliches like bucket list stuff, but like that, it gives the rest of us something to aspire to,
Sure.
As I pack up my hot tent and go to Valens Conservation Area, 40 minutes down the road.
The true adventurers.
Fancy myself a wilderness guy, But
yeah. So that's all for the speakers. A question I had now, I was looking back through your past speakers list from other shows, and some shows you've had as many as 7 speakers. Why only 4 on this particular?
Partly
show?
Because one of the things I have various people offer me opinions about the show. sort of wanted or not. You get people telling you. But I've asked for feedback, and one of the things that people were sort of pretty consistently saying is, I could have listened to so and so for another however much time. So, and also, I felt like I was always really rushed to have more speakers and still do the door prizes, because the door prizes take time to hand out 40 door prizes. And again, with COVID, we may not have 40, but we'll have a nice selection. So I think if you look back, you'll find that most of those where we had 6 speakers were at the previous venue where we didn't have all the vendors, so we didn't have all the door prizes, and so I had more time to work with things. So we've cut back a little bit on the speaker numbers to give each speaker a little bit more time, and to give us a little bit more time between each speaker, so that we're not as rushed through the day. So that's why, sort of a quality over quantity approach. So we've trimmed things down a little bit.
Yeah. You know what? You'll have a few Canoe Hound Adventures prize packages in there too. So
sounds great.
So you need 38 more.
There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Well, we'll tell Matt to make sure he's pounding the bushes for door prizes.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned earlier some of the vendors that are going to be there. Did you want to go through your full vendors list? Do you have that handy by any chance?
I do. And again, I'm just going to pull up the website, because
that way there people can actually come to the symposium prepared for
sort of prepared,
or pick up products or whatever, right?
Yep. So we have some vendors been with us a long time. So Alan Drummond, I don't know how many of you know Alan. I think a number of you probably do. Alan runs a thing called Kingdom Outdoor Products, and he always brings kind of an eclectic mix of things. He'll have everything from canoe and kayak, fold down racks that you can attach to your garage wall, to kayak and canoe key rings, and just all kinds of stuff. So Alan always brings some great stuff. Kid Products will be there with their twig stoves, both the stainless and titanium, and they have in the past always given us a twig stove to give away, which is a very nice prize. One of these days I might break down and do the titanium Kid twig stove, because I have a firebox, but it's heavy.
Yeah. Did you see this comment that
I did?
Yeah,
I did.
Out there. Twig stove duel, firebox stove versus Kid Products, Dave versus Dennis.
Yeah. You know what? To every twig stove there is a season.
Yes.
They all do something well, and they all do something that you say, I wish I had something that did this instead. And so I now have 3, including one I made myself, 2 that one's a gasifier, one's a firebox. It is a firebox, but firebox style. And but you always need more. There's just, I need a titanium one now, and I need this. And
funny you say that, because I bought I was looking for a twig stove initially, and I'm not, even though I'm affiliated with Kid Products and stuff like that, if it's a stove you have and you know how to use it, great, use it, right? But I initially set out looking for a firebox stove, because they got great marketing, and they know how to get it out there on Instagram and whatever other means that they have. So that was the stove I become familiar with. I went to, I think it was the Toronto Sportsman Show, and I went there looking for a firebox stove. And I come across this other brand called Kid Products, and I had no idea who this stove was made by, and I couldn't find a firebox stove. So, and now this sounds horrible, but I settled for the Kid stove, right?
But did you really?
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. And I went in entry level, and I now own 3 of them. and they're all Kid stoves. I got the titanium, the stainless, and the cold rolled steel. And I love my titanium one. They're a little higher price because it's titanium. But you know what? I have no need to buy another stove, because these things serve my needs 100%, right? Just like the firebox stove may suit your needs.
Well, and like I have a $25 gasifier that I got off Amazon too. And
Yeah.
you know what? It's the one I took on that trip where I only took a twig stove. I took that one because it's super, super light, even though it's not titanium. And you know what? I mean, it's a TPO, but it does a great job.
Yeah.
So we have Kid, we have Kingdom Outdoor. John from Backcountry Custom Canoes will be bringing his skin on frame canoes so that people can get a really good look at them. He is super busy right now, orders up the wazoo, but I think even if you aren't, you know, in the market for a skin on frame canoe, just seeing one up close and picking up one end of one and realizing you can lift it with one finger is quite an experience, really. And so he'll be there with his. We have OTG meals. I noticed, I saw, I think it was Christina in the chat mention OTG meals. I certainly have Randy Lewis, who runs OTG, used to live here in Kitchener. He's now moved to, oh boy, I'm going to say Ingersoll, but I'd probably get it wrong. But I think he still produces his stuff in Kitchener. He's been very good to me in the past. I've bought some product. He's thrown in some product. And I'll put his meals up against anybody. And actually, John Babulik, who is a freeze-dried food aficionado, he swears by Randy's stuff. Says he's tried them all, Packers Pantry, all that stuff. He says Randy's stuff is the best stuff he's ever tasted. So yeah,
I've heard that too. I've heard that too.
Yeah, they're the best. So
it's all small batch stuff they do too, right?
Exactly. It's now I may be speaking out of turn here. I know when he first started the company, one of his goals was to provide sort of if you had a particular thing you wanted him to put together for you, he wanted to be able to do that. I think Health Canada might have stepped in there and said, we got to know everything that goes in everything, so we can't have you doing that. But he has a great selection of stuff, like everything from chicken dumpling to chicken pot pie to lasagna to
gummy worms
and cheesecake. Cheesecake is fantastic.
Yeah.
Christina, I see you're chatting there. You've probably tried some, so why don't you fire up the ones you like the best there? We're going to have C. Sawyer Run, which is a company that specializes in rough wear for dogs. So all of the outdoor stuff, whether it's PFDs for dogs or booties for the winter or just any of the safety products or the backcountry products for dogs, they're going to be there. We've got, who else have I got here? It All Comes Naturally, which is I get the acronym wrong. Is it ORCA?
Ontario Recreational
Canoe and Kayak Association. That's what it is now, right? ORCA?
Yeah.
So they're doing instruction. Their link is on our website there. But they run certified courses from ORCA. So if you're looking for some instruction, you're going to be able to talk to them. Friends of Temagami will be there. Of course, they'll have the big planning maps and all the Temagami maps and all the local knowledge. Oh, Christina's talking about her favorite meals. Chicken dumplings. Shepherd's pie. I forgot about that one. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. There you go. Did I see vanilla ice cream?
Ice cream sandwiches. Yeah.
Wow. So freeze-dried ice cream sandwich. I know somebody gave me one of those. Somebody that's part of the canoeing community bought a freeze dryer 4 years ago and brought some ice cream sandwiches to the symposium and gave me one. And it was like, oh my God. What a revelation. To have that on like the 5th day of a trip was fantastic. Thank you. There you go.
There we go. Thought this might help.
Yeah, it saves me having to look at my phone. Quetico, the sorry, I'm pointing at the screen as if you could actually see me. The orange, no, scroll back up, the orange circle. Yeah, that's the Quetico Foundation. So I know Quetico is on a lot of people's list of places to go, and Quetico Foundation are the people who are the money raising arm of Quetico to, you know, fight the legal battles against pollution coming from the States and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to have a booth there. Paddling Adventures Radio, of course, will be joining us, as they always do. Cal Tire is coming, and they've been there the last, I'm going to say 2 symposiums prior to this one. So this will be 3. And I am blown away. They offer as a door prize. Well, no, it's not a door prize. It's a raffle prize. You have to buy a ticket. But they offer a free set of tires.
Yeah, that blew me away at the last at the last symposium.
Yeah, and not just car tires. Like if you drive a light pickup truck or like my SUV, I asked them if I won, because I told everybody up front, I'm buying a raffle ticket. Like I don't care if I run the symposium, I can win this. And I said I drive a Santa Fe. They said, yeah, we'll do you a Santa Fe. And snow tires too, if you wanted them. So, yeah, unbelievable. Cal Tire will be there. Trip Shed, of course, Gear Shed. You can click on that. It's got a link if you want to. So that's their Facebook page from Trip Shed. So you can go check out their offerings. So they have all kinds of stuff, and they'll be bringing it with them. At least that's the goal. Again, you know, I hate to keep bringing up COVID, but like supply lines are stretched, right? So we're hoping we're going to have gear there. I'm assuming we will have gear there, but if COVID rears its ugly head and gets in the way, well, that's there's nothing we can do about that. Portage is actually, Matt's going to have to, I'm going to have to just be really sort of brief with Portage because I haven't got the full details, but I believe they are running some sort of canoe related fundraiser for kids with addiction and so on. So it's got a canoe angle to it, but they're also involved with dealing with youth at risk and so on. So that's perfect. And there's a link there. You can click on.
You may see them on Canoe-Hounds Outdoor Adventure Show in the very near future. I've been speaking with them of late. Okay. So
well, and so because Matt's the organizer of the sponsors, you probably know more about them than I do because Matt's the one who passed that through to me. So I will leave that to you if you want to jump in and fill in anything there. And we're getting more sponsors by the day because Dennis, you're jumping in as a sponsor, which we really appreciate. And we also have a brand new sponsor. Let me just call up my messages here. I want to get the name right.
Got to do that.
It's called the Organic Boat Shop. And the Organic Boat Shop is, I believe, Dennis, from down your way, somewhere in the Stony Creek area, perhaps, or something like that. And they are a Winona dealer. And I actually found them on Facebook Marketplace. They run an ad on Facebook Marketplace where they talk about if you want to trade in your canoe, they'll put you into something. They'll upgrade you, kind of thing. So they deal with Winona products. So they're excited to be coming as a first-time sponsor. And again, we may be getting more. We've reached out to a ton of people, and they're really struggling. Some of them with manpower, or it's not manpower anymore, but personnel, due to COVID and layoffs and so on. So some of our regulars that we've had in the past, like Outdoors Oriented, they haven't yet been able to commit, and that's totally understandable. If they can't keep the store open and come to the symposium.
That's one of my local stores, and I could vouch for them that the employee situation is just like every other industry right now, right? So
it's a tough one. Somebody just said located in Beamsville. Yes, that's the Organic Boat Shop is in Beamsville. Thank you, Walt.
Okay.
Appreciate that. So those are the sponsors, and excited to have them.
Cool.
And we may add a few between now and the show.
Cool. Well, you know what? We have a couple of people in the basement. One of which is going to be a speaker at this show, and another is a speaker that is one of your past shows. So, what do you say we invite them up and
Let's
have a little
get them
chat?
in here so people don't have to listen to me. That's why I have speakers.
You're doing a great job. No, this is awesome. I'm once again just going to post in the chat. If anybody's still looking to get tickets, we'll see if we can't sell out this show tonight. One of the upcoming speakers at this symposium is Brad Jennings, and he is in the basement. So let's invite Brad up. How you doing, Brad?
Hey, Brad.
Not bad. How's it going, Dave? Dennis, good to see you guys again.
It's good to see you, man.
And so she's not sitting down there in the cold.
Yeah.
Let's bring up Christina as well. Christina, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good
Good.
to see you again, Christina.
Good to see you too. Hi, Brad.
Hey, Christina, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
So, Brad, what have you got planned for us for the symposium? Can you throw a little teaser our way?
Sure. Without going over the whole presentation, you want to see people there in person. Leah, who's not here right now, but she'll be co-presenting with me. We'll be talking about 17-day expedition we did up in northern Quebec this past summer. We actually did it with 6 people this time, so it wasn't just Leah and myself, just because the logistics of this trip were pretty large. We had a bit of a crew, and Dave, actually one of the fine folks on our trip was Emily Morgan, who spoke at the Ontario Winter Camping Symposium, I believe, a couple of years back as well too. So
sounds great.
Yeah, so a little more symposium to spread around there. But yeah, we'll be talking about our trip down the Tishigami River. I know you kind of struggle to pronounce that, and I struggle to pronounce that too.
I do my best.
I think when you finally see the video of this coming out, you'll hear me pronounce it about 6 different ways too. So for those who don't know, that's it's about a 12-hour drive north of Montreal area, and it starts in a range of mountains called the Odish Mountains, which are a big range of tundra-top mountains in kind of northern central Quebec, and a resource road that goes up to the big Lagrange and Radisson dams has punched through on the eastern side of the river only in the last couple of years. So now you can actually access that river to paddle it down. And undocumented river, Keewaydin Camp has gone through there about 60, 70 years ago for really, really old historical notes. As far as we could tell, they never did a downstream run on it. They did some upstream push, but there was a section of about 50 kilometers where it was just pool and drop rapids, endless. So that's why we wanted a team of 6 people for this, because you're running down a river where, you have no safety net around you, and you have to rely upon each other. And there were a few rescues and whitewater mishaps that definitely accompanied a trip like this too. So very, very cool trip that I'm excited to share with everyone, starting from the Tundra Top Mountains downstream this undocumented river to Lake Mistassini, which is Quebec's largest natural lake, and we had to do a big open water crossing across that as well too. So lots of cool highlights from that trip, and we're really excited to share that tale at the symposium this year.
Well, looking forward to that.
I just want to add, if you've never seen Brad speak before or present, he's an amazing presenter. And it's worth the price of admission just to see Brad. He's really great. And then to add Leah in with that, oh my goodness. It's going to be great.
Well, it should be good. We'll have lots of photos, we'll have some pictures, and then I'm sure we'll have lots of questions and stuff too. So I hope everyone enjoys it. It was definitely a trip for the ages.
Well, so you making the trek down from Timmins? You're going to be coming down a little earlier, or are you just coming down for the day?
Oh, we're coming down early. We're going to try to work down there for the week and stay for Easter and try to make it a big ordeal, and then head on back after that. Just timing actually worked out really nicely when Dave approached me with the opportunity to speak here this year. It's just really hard to arrange schedules when you're up north. But of course, being a week before Easter, it kind of dovetailed nicely into some of these travel plans for us. So, of course, we had to say yes, and it's nice getting down there, seeing a bunch of familiar faces too, because the symposium always brings out, the community as a whole. So we don't get to see them in person too often. So these events are always great to reconnect with like-minded folks and chat shop and community with everyone. So we definitely jumped at the chance to rather drive down and join in.
Yeah. Now, this isn't your first rodeo with one of Dave's events either, right? You've presented a couple times before, once with Leah and once with your dad, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So my dad and I did a presentation, I'm going to say, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Just give me a sec, I can tell you. It's a while ago.
Dave will have the stats, but that one we did on the Queen Elizabeth True Wildlands Bridge Park.
2014, 7 years ago.
There you go, a long time ago.
Little Brad Jennings did that presentation. Okay.
That's right.
And then I did the one with Leah on Lost Canoe Routes and then paddling as a couple, exploring all these areas and stuff. So again, it's kind of neat to do these co-presentations. It's always nice to have someone up there on stage with you to share in the passion and share some of the stories, because I'm sure I can glaze over some of the details and some parts, and people always have different parts of the trip or activity that they want to recount in their own light too. So 2 shows so far with Dave, and it's been nothing but great. He's a great host. Symposium is always a really great venue. I don't believe I've actually been at the venue currently. Have you been doing it at the university for a few years now, Dave? Or is this the first
Since
time?
2018, so no, you haven't.
Okay.
You were at the old venue. This is slightly larger seating, but it'll feel just as intimate. So I think you're going to be good. Well, hold a minute. You and Leah did a 2016 presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. That's before. Yeah, you were at the
was
old
KW.
Yeah, it was.
We did 2017 in KW.
Yeah, all of them were the old KW.
I was just looking for you. There you are. Yes, Christina's first talk, 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad. I'm looking forward to hearing the two of you again. I really, really appreciate you coming down and making the trip. Not just for the symposium. I know you get to see some relatives as well. But let's face it, it's really just for the symposium. So we appreciate that.
No problem. We always enjoy coming down. And heck, you guys might have open water down there too. We have 3 feet of
You never
snow,
know.
so,
You never know.
and, there's a canoe at my dad's place. It might
Anything's possible.
Up.
Anything's possible. Get out on the Thames River there and do something. Yeah.
Exactly. We'll bring the life jackets or the dry suit if we need to, and put the boat out there. So
sounds good.
Cool. And then that brings us to Christina. Now, Christina's been a past guest on your in your symposiums as well. I'm just going to move you over to the big screen here.
Oh,
hey.
I got a new setup. What do you think?
Nice.
I made a whole room out of my computer with my gear over here. So
you need a green screen behind you, then you can put that.
Like a shower curtain.
That's what we do here too. Yeah, you can't see it, but all the canoe stuff's behind the shower.
Oh my crap.
It's not that exciting hanging out with your gear all the time, because then it reminds you how you have to clean and take things apart.
Yeah, exactly.
my screen just hides my bourbon collection. That's all.
Not too well, it doesn't.
Yeah, just barely, right? So, Christina, your the first time you ever did a live presentation, was at one of Dave's symposiums.
Yeah, my very first presentation was at the 2017 KW Symposium. David sent me a message and I was like, are you kidding me? No, I don't think that's going to happen. He's like, yeah, come on, you can do a talk. Like, what am I going to talk about? How about your first backcountry trip? I'm like, okay. So, of course, that happened so long ago. I mean, it's 2002. I didn't have a lot of pictures, so I had to make up some pictures. They were quite creative. I don't know if you remember, Dave. There was
I do. Yeah, it was great.
With the mosquitoes, and I inserted them. And I mean, I'm not a Photoshopper, so I was just kind of copy and pasting clip art and stuff. But it was pretty entertaining. I was just there reading off of my paper, and oh my gosh, I was shaking. It was pretty crazy. Jim Baird spoke that year.
He did. He spoke right after you finished.
From Algonquin Lakes, Lost Lake. What is it? Algonquin Lakes? Lost Lake.
Well, he Drew Chernick, I think he pronounced it.
Yes.
Back then, he called it 100 Lakes, 100 Days. Now
that's right. He had just finished, or he was getting close to it. He was great. And Dave, I got this out for you so you can see it.
Oh, there you go.
That's OTG Ice Cream Sammy. I just happen to have one.
I gotta get
like I said, I got my gear right here, so I got my whole bin of like.
Yes, I have a box like that. It's full of chicken dumplings and beef stroganoff and all kinds of stuff. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to speak at the Winter Symposium, which was I think that was the last one.
Did you speak twice at the Winter or just once? You did one on your
just one. No, you had me cram in how to make a hot tent with my Killarney trip.
And the Killarney trip. Yeah, well,
the same presentation. So I was like, and then I went to Killarney, and then it was over.
Yes. Yeah, no, it was great. Fun. It was fun. And you know, I remember distinctly calling you, well, not calling you, texting you, I assume, or something. And I'll never forget, you said, well, I'm not really a canoeist. I kayak. And I was like, oh, come on, you know, you got to have canoe to, you know, and this is a canoe symposium. I bet you've been in a canoe, but I was on a real push to try and get more gender equality in the speakers. And I, you know, I'd heard about you. I forget who recommended you. Over the years, I've lost, you know, who recommended who. But
it might have been Kevin. I think it might have been Kevin.
Might have been Kevin.
Yeah, and he had done a trip earlier that year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And so, you know, I mean, I was saying anything to get you to talk. Oh, it's great. You know, you'll love talking in front of people. It'll be great.
You know, come stay at my house. I'll feed you.
That's right.
Party.
Yeah. We went out beforehand and went to the Whale and Ale Pub. Yeah. So anything to get you to talk, because I mean, it was. But look at what it's led to. Now we've got the Camper Christina phenomena, and has come.
Well, at the Winter Camping Symposium, you even had one of your tents set up in the lobby.
I did actually, two of them. The one I spoke at, I had the solo tent set up. That was when they were doing the construction.
Yeah,
so it was all ripped up.
The lobby was torn apart.
And then the last symposium that we had before, I had the big one, the brand new big one set up right at the front door.
Well, that's right.
That was a prime location.
It was,
Yeah, I loved that. That was great.
What did you do to your finger?
Oh, you know, I popped out 2 ribs. I fell last week. I popped out 2 ribs. I just got them put back in today. So I said to Dennis, I don't think I can do this. I'm like just toast. But yesterday I cut my finger really bad. I'm getting ready to go camping on the weekend, and I was getting toppings ready for pizza, and I just sliced the knife right through.
Whoa.
But I think it's okay. I actually sent a picture to, help me say this name. Tunis
Richards.
I can never say that. I only see it.
Yeah.
I was like, can you just like take a look at this picture and tell me if it's okay?
Well, yeah, because he's an EMT, right?
Yeah. So, so they said it was fine. So I have it wrapped up because I do stuff and then I hit it and it's cut pretty deep. I'm trying to fix it before my trip. I'm going winter camping on Friday, so I don't want this.
Yeah.
Where are you going, Christina? You want some coffee?
I can't tell you. It's a secret. I never announce where I'm going before I go.
I'm dying to get out. I was hoping to get out this weekend somewhere.
I'll message you. I'll tell you privately.
I'm hoping to go Monday, but I'm looking at the weather and they're talking maybe
9 degrees on Sunday and raining.
Yeah.
So I said to my friend, we gotta get out really fast on Sunday morning. Like get up at 5 because canvas and rain. Not friends. Not my canvas.
I don't know where you're going, but I suspect you and I might be going near each other. So you never know.
That'd be great.
Well, but I'm not going on the weekend. I'll be going. I'm retired. Remember?
Well, then never
I don't
mind.
do weekends anymore.
Anyway, back to the show.
Of everybody else who says, "Well, join us." I don't do weekends. So yeah, I'd be going on.
I have a quick question here for both Christina and Brad. So you've both done presentations at David's symposiums. What's the allure to want to do a presentation at these things? Is it it's not due to Dave's begging, merciless begging?
It is actually.
At first, it was.
Yeah. I'll go first since I have the big screen. I would say I really like the venue. It's a nice venue. Like, it's very intimate. Like, I speak at the Outdoor Adventure Show now a lot, and not a lot, but I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. I'm in like the middle of this. It's like the middle of the mall. You know, there's people everywhere, and it's such a nice venue. There's this big stage, and you know, the microphone, and it feels like you can see every single person that's watching you, and really like connect with them. It's like you said earlier. It's very intimate. And then you get to talk to people before and after the show, and again, it's intimate, so you're almost seeing pretty much everybody that's there, and it's nice. It's like our own little community of friends and outdoors people, and it's just a great vibe, and it's really good. It's really well put together, and great vendors. It's just everything is just good about it, except for getting to the door from the parking lot.
It's a little bit of a hike, eh?
Print the directions. Take my advice if you've never been there, or even if you've been there. Print the directions and bring a credit card for the parking lot, because they do not take cash.
That's right.
Those are the things you need to know. And that's it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the paid parking. Yeah.
Now there is a map though on the website. How to get
I heard you say it earlier. I just wanted to stress it. Like,
yes.
Don't be like, oh yeah, I can find it. No, it's like a maze. I've been there 4, 5, 6 times. I still.
Yep. And we even put up signs telling people, you know, sort of look.
The last time was the best. It was a little easier.
I
think I was driving behind you, wasn't I?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
That's my answer.
There you go. How about you, Brad?
Yeah. Well, dovetailing on what Christina said, I would definitely agree that the community is a huge part of it. Always love getting together, like I mentioned before, to see all these folks of like mind and have conversations afterwards. But I don't know, I've always done public speaking to some extent too. I love getting up on stage and talking, do presentations. So, you know, it's kind of a nice privilege to be invited to come out to these events and talk too. It's certainly a lot easier than doing a video project or writing a book or, you know, an article, at least for myself, just to get up on stage and talk about things that I'm interested in and have a passion for sharing that with other people. It's great. Like, I would jump at the chance every time to do a talk, and then connecting with guests afterwards, answering questions, whatnot. I just love the whole atmosphere of all these symposiums. And then the smaller the symposium, usually the more intimate, the more questions, and the more people you get actually know in person. Because you know, in this day and age, we get a lot of folks that we meet digitally online, and I have a hard time putting names to faces, because there's just so many people out there. It's great to see the community grow, but when we have these events and you do a talk, you actually get to connect to these folks that you've been kind of connecting with over the years too. So I find it's a great way to put names to faces, and, you know, share passions with people too. So, and also it depends on the topic, because we have spoken in the past on to some degree about education, with regards to either route finding for lost canoe routes or awareness of our protected spaces or places that are not protected, and some of the values that canoe tripping can instill in us. So kind of sharing that knowledge and transferring that to other folks too is a big draw, because it's only going to keep the community alive, keep this tradition growing, and bring more people into the fold too. So being part of that is quite the experience. So I'm always game to do a presentation if it's within you know, needs.
Yeah, you know what? Funny thing, at the show, I'm gonna have to keep my buddy away from you, Brett. my current video series that I have out right now is on the West Spanish Forest trip that we did last summer, and throughout the whole thing, that Brad Jennings is full of S. He's full of S. Because you and your dad made that trip look so easy, and we had such a tough go of it, man.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone has a different experience on the trip,
exactly.
Right? You can do the same route 6 times, and I think you're still going to have a different experience based on weather, your trip mates, even conditions, right? Because everything changes year to year with blowdowns or fires or water levels. So, you know, I think any seasoned canoeist worth his salt too will look at that map and say, shit happens.
Yeah. No, that was a fantastic route for sure. I'd like to do it again sometime without the rain. So
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. But that's again why we love doing these talks too, because if we didn't share these trips with other people, then we'd lose these places. And how you find out is by doing talks. And we've actually done some talks in the West Spanish Forest before, and we did the videos. So it's great to see that there has been a little more traffic in there. Could you imagine if we didn't do a talk or a discussion about it? You probably would have had an even more time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So
that's part of the draw.
David, I see we have another past speaker in the basement that I'd like to bring on up here. And this particular fellow comes with his own introduction.
Hi, I'm Kevin Callan, the Happy Camper.
Woo! Yes, I'm apostle number 14. Well, if you visited me instead, you would have been fine. It's a one sexy beast, I'm telling you. I called you poopy pants. Sorry about that.
Did you really?
I will hold in my urine for you, Dennis.
You have to remind Kevin that this is a family show.
What about the chipmunks?
Awesome.
Been a while since I had that intro up, eh, Kevin?
I know. I've been busy, and I'm busy tonight. I'm on the Quiet Adventure. What's it called again, guys?
Quiet Adventure Symposium.
Yes, I'm on that tonight.
Quiet Adventure Symposium.
Yeah, that thing.
No more water.
Yeah,
adventure.
That thing. And then I'm watching your show on TV. I'm doing that show on the laptop, and then I gotta tune in because I got nothing else. I swear to God, I got no life. Dave, way to go! That's awesome. I think that's fantastic. Man, you must have been like, oh, should I do it? Should I not?
I had the date booked, last year, right? Like you got to book ahead. But yeah, it's been super nerve-wracking to say the least.
So if it's nerve-wracking, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I first of all, I was in Killarney.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Killarney is all uphill.
I know.
Yes. Both ways.
Who knew? I forgot.
Yeah.
Anyway, then I got back and I actually had to go to work. Like and it was all uphill. So I'm a little tired. But anyway, sorry. Dave, what started you doing this in the first place? Like, did you wake up and have epiphany in the morning saying, I'm going to do... Yeah.
It's funny that that's something Dennis and I didn't talk about before the show started, but I'm glad it came up because it mirrors what you're talking about as speakers or as audience members. You get to meet people. I literally remember saying to my partner Susan, I said, I think the biggest part of me wanting to sort of put this show together is I want to know more people in the canoeing community because I didn't know anybody. I knew the 4 guys that I went canoeing with, and I knew you, Kevin, from years ago, but, I didn't know people. And I thought this would be a great way to get to know a bunch of people. And I mean, look, here, I've got people now that I can talk to online. I can run into at shows. How you doing? I haven't seen you in 2 years. And, that was the biggest part of it for me, really. And then a tiny part of it was I was fortunate enough to be asked to speak at the Wilderness Canoe Symposium in Toronto at Park. And I loved it. What an experience. Met some great people. But their focus is north of the tree line. And I came away from that and I went, I'm part of a group of guys that we're thrilled to go to Killarney or Georgian Bay or Algonquin. And none of those topics would ever come up at the Wilderness Canoe Symposium because they talk about, the Thalon or, the copper mine. So maybe there's room to have something that's a little more local, a little more Southern Ontario, Southern Quebec centric for the average Joe and Jane.
So basically what you're saying is your show is for the commoner of the canoe world.
Common human, the common man and woman.
Common canoeer.
Yes.
Yeah. Common canoeist.
Yes. I think with all kidding aside, like I've done the Nahanni River and I loved it, but I know I'll never go north again. I don't have the money and I'm not in shape and I'd love to, but it's probably never going to happen. So to hear somebody talk about it is, I can live vicariously through it. That's why I love listening to Jim Baird or talk about walking across Baffin Island. I know I'm never going to do it, but I'd love to hear somebody talk about the trip to Nellie Lake or something, because I can do that. And, I want to introduce other people to that. So that was the big thing, getting to know more people and just giving a venue for people to talk about, subarctic canoeing in Canada, and sort of focused on Ontario. And then we've leaked into Quebec, but I think that's great, because Quebec is, has all those opportunities that you don't necessarily get in Ontario. Ontario seems more explored perhaps than some of the really out there Quebec stuff that you can still do, like Brad, like you and Leah did on the river you're going to be talking about. Or Tory Baird and Jim did and I can't pronounce the river they talked to. Tory talked about it. Sorry?
The Saskatchewan?
I'll say yes.
Take your word for it.
But those are things that the young, in shape, average person can tackle, and so and they don't cost. And I'm not trying to put anybody down, but like, I know how much it cost me to go to the Nahanni, and that was in 2008. So I can't even imagine what it would cost now. But it's probably beyond a lot of people, really. But to go to Naganosh, is suddenly something that people can do, right? So that was certainly a big part of it. But meeting people, that was the biggest part of it, for sure. Absolutely.
Kevin, what was your presentation about last time that you were at one of Dave's symposiums?
You did Once Around Algonquin with Andy.
Me. Sorry. Yes. No. So in the hot tent the other night, Andy and I were talking about that because he really does not like talking about the Means Link. He still curses it to this day. And in reality too, he's like, "You son of a." But what happened on that event was really kind of cool. I did the Means Link. You asked me to talk about it. And Andy was visiting his parents, which live nearby. And I said, hey, if you can show up. And he's kind of like, you think I'm like, whoa. He's more like, whoa, you never know if he's ever going to show up for anything. And so I said, and he did. He showed up. Remember, Dave? He showed up. And we gave a presentation together. And so in the hot tent the other night over bourbon, we brought bourbon.
Hard to believe.
That was a bad idea. Don't do bourbon in the hot tent. Anyway, so we started talking about the presentation, and he goes, I really don't remember too much of it. What was I doing there? I went, well, you answered an email and you arrived. But it was good. It was good.
It was good. It was great.
Yeah.
I and the audience loved it. It was unexpected. He was like a special guest star, sort of like 50 Cent was on the Super Bowl.
So much a special guest, because I didn't know he was going to be there until like he arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It was a big surprise to everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It went really well. So.
Well, it's really good that you actually provide so much for so many people to do all this, Dave. It's fantastic, right?
I have been lucky. Really, I've been very, very lucky that so many people have said, yeah, I'll come and talk. And either for the first time. Now, I mean, I didn't ask you for years and years. And you remember that conversation, right?
Well, that's because you really never liked me.
Well, there's that. For those who don't know, Kevin and I were roommates when we were in our early 20s at an outdoor education center. And the scars remain.
The scars.
Years later.
Did I snore? Did I snore?
I don't recall, but your ferret was a very interesting animal.
Oh, yeah, I know. So sorry about that. The ferret stunk. I was a weird kid.
You were no stranger than I was, Kevin. I think we made a great pair. But anyway, I didn't ask Kevin to speak because I sort of felt like he had his own gig and I didn't want to get in the way of that because I'd see him at the outdoor symposium and stuff. And then
you got to talk to my agent.
Anyway, finally one time I said to him, well, I don't really want to, because I know you have tours booked and everything. He says, I'll just put you on the tour. Okay, that sounds good. So, it was great that you were able to do it, but you've only spoken the one time. Just that. So we got to get you back. We got to get you there for the winter one now. Next time.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I got to tell you one really funny story relating to that, Dave, that you guys will just laugh your asses off. And I got to go back to the other show I'm on. But imagine this, okay? Kevin, Christina, you were there too. So I was camping at the front country in Killarney for the last 5 days, right? So I was doing some work for camp etiquette for the Ontario Parks, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this is funny as hell. We arrived, and I had a script list because it was a job. So I'm like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. But it ended up that the whole thing all fell apart, and then Andy and Tim were supposed to be on another trip with me, and I said, "Guys, can you go with me and help me out?" Like, well, yeah, okay, Kevin. Oh my God. So they go with me, and we go to the front country. We set up the camp, but we get up. So where you, Christina, where you camped, we went further up because I wanted to camp.
You went up the hill, 77.
Yeah, so we wanted to go
Nice
where Crickets Make Me Nervous site because that's a historic etiquette film site for Ontario Parks. So if you had never seen that film, look up.
I've seen it. They told me about it when I was there. They took me over there in the golf carts. Long story.
Oh my God, it's a classic campsite. So we go up this hill, but the only outhouse they had open in the whole front country is down the hill
So
for
where I stayed. That's why I picked that site.
Oh yeah, you're smart. We're not.
I know.
Right? So so I'm every time we had to go and whatever. But this was funny. So I'm blabbing here, David, but this is a really funny story.
Hey.
Okay, so I go down the hill and I'm getting a little older, and the pandemic, body is not doing all that well. I'm starting to get a little bit better in shape now, Brad. So don't look at me. Don't judge,
Brad. Don't judge.
Yeah, I could do a lost canoe route real soon. Okay, but it ended up I go down to the outhouse, and because there was so much snow load, I couldn't close the door and lock it. But we were the only ones camped there. Like who's gonna walk in? So I'm squatting, pooping. And some guy opens the door. First of all, I look at him, and you can tell he really needs to go. Like something's wrong with him. Like he's not well. And I went, "Sorry, it's you." And he looks at me. All right, close the door. I'm going to spin the story up quicker because what happened was on the way out. Because I told my buddies, "Oh, I was pooping, and someone walked in the outhouse." They go, "Kevin, no one's here. Like no one's here. Like who? What do you mean walked in? What's wrong with you?"
Did you have the door open?
Well, the door was open.
So they're just like outdoor toilets, right? With doors. Like it's like those ones where there's a roof and a sink and just the two doors. But the door.
Yeah, but there's a snow drift between the door.
I left the door open too, and thankfully that didn't happen to me.
Well, it doesn't matter if someone sees me pooping. I could care less if someone sees me pooping. Anyway, so it ended up though. This is funny. So 5 days later, we're leaving, and we're hauling out, and this woman comes up to me and she recognizes me. "Oh, you're Kevin Callan. I got all your books. So this is fantastic." And I, very nice. So this is fantastic. And her husband looks at me and she says, "This is the guy that writes all the books and stuff." And he's, "I don't know who you are." I looked at him and I squatted. "Oh, you recognize me now?" You recognize me now, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's the guy I walked into the house."
Please tell me you got that on film.
No, only my memory. That was
that's
classic.
Hilarious, Kev.
Yeah, that was so classic. Because the guy kind of looked at me, and I even said to him, I went, "Are you feeling okay now?" Yeah. So if you going back to what you're saying, Dave, I hope I can get Kevin to present, who's his agent, whatever. And you're glad you got me to present. The reality of it is I just have fun pooping in front of him.
Well, I'll install an outhouse next time on stage.
Yes.
And then you can present from there. How's that sound?
Dave, I think you have another story for next year's symposium.
I think so.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, experience with
the outhouse. Kevin, tell the outhouse story.
Oh no, I know it's terrible.
Kevin, I know you have to go, but I mean, where did he come from?
Oh yeah, I did find out. So they rented a cabin, which I didn't know. I didn't know Killarney has
yurts
cabins
there are really nice.
Yeah, I didn't know.
There's yurts and there's cabins. They're really nice.
And what was really cool is the wife said, "Well, we really liked your hot tent setup, but we prefer a cabin." I went, "It's the same thing. You just move it. You have to set it up." Like, so it's funny. Like, it's a whole perspective of like, and we pooped in the same place.
So there you go. Yeah, they're putting in cabins at McGregor because they told me the company that made the yurts went out of business, and so they couldn't get parts or they couldn't repair them. So they're putting in these beautiful cabins.
Yeah, it's also the demand. So many people want. So I did interview people on the way out. There was one hot tenter when we were leaving set up actually on the same site that you Christina, you stay at. So they must watch your video and stay at that site. So we saw them on the way out, though. The yurts were full, the cabins were full, and the entire campground. There was us and someone else that night. And so I interviewed some people. And I said, "Well, what's going on?" Well, we wouldn't do what we saw what you guys did. We wouldn't do what you did. I went, "What's the difference between a hot tent and a yurt?" There's nothing.
Except you have to bring it in, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You're right.
And set it up and tear it down, but really.
Oh, except though, I did not know this, but you cannot go down the pulk sleds that they provide for the firewood. You can't use that as a toboggan. It's against the rules. We
Come on.
Yeah.
I may have videos doing that somewhere on YouTube.
Possible.
Kevin, I have to ask, is the firewood any better at Killarney than it is at Algonquin Mew?
Well, that's a good point. That's a very good point, because my job was to do a thing on etiquette for front country. And Ontario Parks asked me to do that. And I said, okay, but wait, I got to talk about the wood. Like, well, Kevin, I went, oh, come on. The wood is shit. So, sorry. The superintendent, Jeremy, great guy. He said, Kevin, you can buy local wood, or you can buy wood that's processed and not, doesn't have the emerald borer or whatever in it. So we brought some wood, and then we got some other parkwood. I got to say, the parkwood we used was pretty good. I don't know where they got it, but it didn't smolder and didn't hiss and didn't have spit coming out. It was fine.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I brought some wood. I'm in Muskoka, so I brought some wood from here, and then I mixed it with the parkwood, and I put a lot of the parkwood underneath the stove while I was burning the other stuff, and it was decent. It wasn't wet, but it wasn't perfectly dry, but it did burn eventually. So
yeah.
Better than you, I thought.
Well, I would say, it's probably the same place that Mulek gets it, whatever. But we went into the woodlot area and we dove into the middle of the pile.
I did the same thing. So,
yeah. But the other funny part was, I had to show that what to do with your wastewater for dishes, whatever. And it was the outhouse. Put it down there because you don't want to toss.
You're going to carry that all the way from site 77 to the outhouse?
Oh my God. And then Andy's hip was going out and he's limping, and I got video of that. And he's like, this etiquette film, when are we ever going into the wilderness, Kevin? And what was really funny is for at night for people, I go, guys, for good reason, don't just pee outside the tent, because we're in the front country. We're not in the wilderness right now.
If you're Martin, you pee inside the tent.
Oh my God. So Andy used the pee ball. He pees a lot. Mm-hmm. I got to say, it's a very uncomfortable, sorry to say, it's a very uncomfortable thing to wake up and not know what's going on when a man's over your head peeing in a bottle.
Oh,
it's a good thing we're friends, because I went, Andy, yes, you got a problem with this? Nope.
Well, you know what?
I have no idea what to say after listening to all that.
I know. All I gotta say is, how are we supposed to be talking about the Ontario Backcountry?
But this is
I
what.
know. Sorry.
Like what it's like.
I'm on another show right now. I gotta go. All right, Dave. Way to go! Fantastic. Keep up the enthusiasm. I'm so glad that you're getting people back in the seats, and you're doing everything safe. I think that's fantastic. Way to go! And
are you coming to the show, Kevin?
Well, his tickets are almost sold out, for God's sakes.
You know what? I just checked as we were speaking there earlier. Let me double check because I
just posted the link again.
We're down to 51 tickets.
51.
So
51.
So what? So you only allowed 55 people at the show, or?
That's right. You got it.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you popping in, man.
Good to see you, old friend.
Keep it going. And Brad, when's the book coming out? That's all I got to say.
Somebody in the chat said the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Callan, it's I gotta guard myself every time I come on the CANOEHOUND'S adventures because I know if Kevin pops up, he's gonna poke Callan and Callan will poke me, and it'll be a never-ending circle. And then if my wife,
my Lord, I'm like the grade 8 teacher that hits you with the ruler.
Right. How old are you? I taught for 30 years. I never hit a kid with a ruler. That's old days.
No, but when I went to school,
none.
Yeah,
I know.
Alexander.
I got smoked a few times.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, green room after, if you know what I mean.
All right, but it's okay because she's in hell now. Okay, bye.
Later.
I have to get going
funny.
too. I just wanted to say one quick thing to Brad before I left. We did a trip together this year in Temagami, sort of.
Yeah, roughly, kind of, eh?
we were there at the same time. I was doing the lower, the southern Lady Evelyn River, and you were doing. Wait, what were you doing? A portage race up Maple Mountain.
We went.
Is that what it was?
Red Squirrel up to Maple Mountain, across to Mushkego Wildlands, and then down through there, and did it like 3 days, 140 kilometers, something like that. Because we didn't get as hard of a trip we wanted on our expedition, and we were actually really craving a really hard trip, and that'll be a good point we'll be talking about on our symposium conversation too, is how sometimes you plan for absolute horrid conditions, and then the canoe tripping gods smile upon you and bless you with like amazing conditions, sunny weather, and everything else. So we were just looking for a little bit of a push, and we really pushed on that one.
I had some friends that I was looking to meet up with, and they ended up seeing you.
Yes.
And then when we got done the trip, we were talking to each other, and he's like, I'm pretty sure I saw Brad Jennings out there. And then you had just posted something like that day. And I'm like, this is here. And he's like, yeah, that was it. So he was all psyched that he saw you, but he was mad because he didn't talk to you guys. And I guess at that time, I was hoping to pass them and hopefully meet up with them on the way through, going back up. Where did I access? Can't remember the name of the access now. The one where they have the boat portage way up top. Mowat Landing. I was on my way back up to Mowat. And I guess you were just past there like the day before or something.
It's funny when you get out there in the woods and you don't expect to see people.
I saw so many. I saw like 42 people or something on that trip. Like it was ridiculous.
We didn't see
anyone on the way
like
in and out, not through Lady Evelyn. Like
it was Diamond Lake was like a flotilla of people. Maple Mountain area was quite a flotilla of people too. We got really lucky because we were able to stay. I forget the name of the lake, but Tupper or Hobart, the one that's directly below the trailhead. We got lucky that campsite was free because all the other campsites were taken up. But then, of course, we get into Muskego, and you're basically just following old blazes and faint trails.
I did a loop through there too. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know exactly.
It's crazy through there. That was a really fun trip.
Yeah, classic Temagami stuff. But of course, you don't see anyone there. Although we did come across, I think, one of the all girls camps, and actually one of the girls was having a bit of an end of day fatigue sort of breakdown there on the trail. So kind of comforted her and picked up her wand again and helped her along and said, "You're almost at your campsite. You can do it." And I hope she had a good trip towards.
I ran past a group of kids too. They were trying to go from Franks Falls all the way through the North Channel and then the South Channel in one day. And I was like, no, you're not. And then they went on to the next campsite. I stayed at Center Falls. And then the next day I ran back into them and they were coming back. One of them almost died going through the rapids. I met the campers who had to go help rescue them. It was insane. They were out there with like no experience, no skills. I think they had a 19 or a 20-year-old leading them. And they were like, at least they made the good decision to go back. But like, wow. 3 people that I met on that part of the channel turned around on the north part. And then it was all alone. And then it was good.
These areas have been getting busy, right? I mean, with COVID, it's good to see that we have, more folks venturing out into the woods and paddling, but it just means that, for some of us who are more experienced, that we have to, stretch further afield and try new areas, which is good as well, too. Spreads the use around.
Yeah.
These canoe routes aren't necessarily just going to be highways to get to all the same spots because there's so much to discover around there. So, but who knows? Maybe I'll run into you somewhere else like that.
It's got to happen sooner or later, I think. Anyways, I'm going to say goodnight, guys. So thanks for having me on. David, keep doing what you're doing. You and your team, everybody does such a great job. And it's a wonderful event. If you've never been to the event, get a ticket before they're all gone, because trust me, 3 days before, you'll be sending messages to David Bain going, why can't I get a ticket? He tells me about it every year. And then people message me, do you know if I can get a ticket? And I'm like, Dave, no, I'm not doing it. So get your tickets now. Go have a great time. And Dennis, thanks for having me on. Brad, it was
Good
great
to see you, Christina. Thanks for popping in.
And David, keep doing what you're doing, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll talk to you again, Christina.
Green room if you're available, Christina.
All right.
Talk later.
Stay safe.
Awesome. So, David, I got a quick question for you here. Well, I don't know if it's a quick question or not, but regarding some of your past shows, I get this question often with Canoe Hounds Outdoor Adventure Show, and who is my favorite guest? And I won't put you on the spot asking you who your favorite guest was, but who have been some of your more memorable presentations that you've really enjoyed? Not to say that they're not all fantastic.
I don't mind answering that, because I think you can categorize the speakers, right? So, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have some very high profile speakers. I've had Kevin Hap Wilson. I would refer to some of those people as, they're professional speakers. They do it a lot. And they've all been wonderful, and people recognize the name and they come to see those people. I get excited by sort of the hidden gems, people who are speaking for the first time, or they're an unknown quantity. And I'm looking back through the list, and I can highlight a couple of people, but I could go on and on. But I'll just sort of cherry pick a few. I know you and I spoke before the show that you've had Mark in the Park, Mark Rubino on. Mark, I believe, did his first talk at the old KW Canoe Symposium. And he, of course, spoke about Algonquin. That's his passion. And I kind of had to twist his arm to get him to talk. But I remember my partner, Susan, going up to him after the show. We had people back to our house after for a barbecue. And she said, Mark, your presentation was so honest and heartfelt. And you could just tell, there was a sort of an innocence or naivete to the fact it was his first presentation. It was just really well done. And I mean, I could go on and on about people like that. Let me pick out another couple that are sort of fit into that same category. Like, we had a young lady who actually spoke twice. She spoke in 2019, and then she did the online show we did with you, Dennis, Kate Barrett. And Kate came and spoke about leading a group of young ladies from one of the Taylor Staton camps, I believe, on a 50-day canoe trip. from Lake Superior to Algonquin Park. And just inspiring. And again, had never spoken in front of a crowd, and totally out of left field. You don't know what to expect. I've never had somebody get up and just, me sit there and go, oh my God, I wish they'd be finished. And, I didn't, because I don't know a lot of these people, and I don't know what kind of speakers they're going to be, but they just, they've never been a disappointment. They, as good as the people are going to be good are, often the people who are just rank amateur, beginner, never spoken in front of a crowd in their life, step up. Christina kind of fits in that category. She came up and spoke about a trip she did in Algonquin with her ex-boyfriend, back in 2002. Just great. Haley Sontag did her first presentation, I believe, at the symposium, and just there's all kinds. I mean, yes, Mike Ranta was fun to have and did a great and inspiring job. Brad, you've spoken a bunch of times now, and you're always somebody I look forward to. But I know you're going to do a great job. But there's always somebody on the program I'm going, oh boy, I hope this goes well. And they always do a great job. And that's the inspiring thing in a way, is that, you get these people who have no idea what it's going to turn out like. And it turns out really well. And I think the key is that they really enjoy, or they're passionate about what they want to talk about. And they come and they do that, and it works out. So, I mean, every year there's somebody who's kind of that hidden gem, that kind of the unknown quantity that you didn't expect and just pops out at you. And there's been so many. I look back through these lists of people, and I mean, it's inspiring to see all these people. Andrea Wilson, for instance, came and spoke. Like, Hap speaks all the time, but Andrea, I think, did her first talk at the symposium, and I mean, I had no idea. I knew Andrea, and I knew she's a nice lady, but you don't know what kind of speaker she's going to be. She was fabulous.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you must get that. People you don't know, and you invite them based on whatever their claim to fame is, but you don't have any idea what kind of speaker or interview subject they're going to be, and you're kind of, oh boy, it could be a long 2 hours kind of thing. Yeah. But they almost always hit it out of the park. It's inspiring, really it is. So I see somebody in the chat said that Kate Barrett was unbelievable. I agree. I walked out of there, I just went, wow.
Did you know that her presentation, that the music for the video that she did, she actually recorded that herself?
Did she?
Phenomenal. Yes, yeah.
I did not. I knew it was somehow an original piece, but I guess I didn't know it was her or something, or I'd forgotten maybe. But just an all round, and young people like that. I mean, Brad used to be a young person, right? But now he's old. He's getting old like the rest of us. But like it's nice to see this next generation of inspiring leaders coming up, through and it's nice that so many of them are and I don't know how to say this politically correctly. It's nice so many of them are ladies, the young ladies, the females, because in my day, I mean, I'm 58 now. They just didn't have a voice. They didn't have a voice. They weren't invited to sit at the table. It was and things have changed, thank goodness. And so I'm always inspired to get more of the young ladies to come and speak, because I want to hear their point of view, and I want to see things through their eyes and hear their stories through their way of telling it. So, or get couples like Brad and Leah, so you can get that perspective. I know we had, Marion and Dwayne Sontag come and do the winter symposium as a couple, so it's always nice to have couples as well, as long as they don't, fight. Mm-hmm. That's why Susan and I don't do it, be too dangerous. But I see somebody saying we need something like this closer to us. There you go. Brad, you can start one up in Timmins.
Oh, add to my list of endless projects.
That's right. You don't have enough on your plate, Brad.
Oh my God, yeah. My problem is I take on too many things at once.
There you go.
Slowly all whittle down until they're eventually done. But
yeah.
Well, we are about that time, fellas, there where we need to close up the show. That was a quick 2 hours. Once again, just to go over the details for the Ontario Backcountry Canoe Symposium. It's running April 22nd.
No. April 9th.
April 9th. So get your tickets for the April 22nd show as well. New batch of tickets going on. No, sorry. You're right. April the 9th, 2022.
That's right.
And the show is going to be running from about 9 in the morning, doors open, until about 3:30 in the afternoon.
That's right.
Special speakers, Mercedes Rogers, John Babelik. We got Brad and Leah Jennings, and then Adam Schultz. So it's a great lineup. I am looking super forward to this. Brad, I'm looking forward to hooking up with you down there too. It's been a while. So
yeah,
you'll be at the tailgate party.
What's that, Brad?
I said looking forward to it, Dennis.
Yeah, for sure. So and looking forward to seeing Leah too. So that's it's been a while too. So Dave, thanks very much for joining us. Thanks, just like Kevin said, thanks for putting on this event. You know what? It's long overdue with what's going on in today's society, and really looking forward to it. So, and I hope to see a lot of them people over in the chat at the show. That's always a great thing too. So keep it in mind. We'll probably be doing a tailgate party. Message me for details closer to the show, and we'll figure something out. Gents, I'm just going to drop you into the basement. I'll see you in the green room in 2 minutes.
Sounds good.
All righty. Thanks.
Thanks again, Dennis. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Dennis, and you too, Dave.
You bet, Brad.
Awesome. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's show. Once again, it's good to have been back. I'm feeling a lot better than I did last week. But you know what? By all means, if you are in the area, there's only, like Dave said, 51 tickets left for this show. I've posted the link a couple times here. I will post it one more time so that maybe you could check it out on your way out of the show tonight. But by all means, be sure to get your tickets for the show. Once they're gone, they are gone. Okay. And you'll be paying 10 times the price through scalpers. Only kidding. No scalping tickets, people. It's not fair. Anyways, we will look forward to seeing you hopefully next weekend. Follow us on Facebook at Canoe Hounds Outdoor Adventure Show. I'm working on a show for next week. I just got to make sure everything, all the ducks fall into a row in order to be able to bring that to you. Just also wanted to say that this tonight was our 97th episode. We've got basically 3 more episodes, and we're going to be hitting the big 100. And I'm working on something special for our 100th episode. So you'll also want to follow us on Facebook just to be able to find out what's going on with that there. Planning some great giveaways from our sponsors and all kinds of neat things. Hopefully some guests from the past. And just having a fun night of it. Nothing really structured, just a fun evening of a bunch of us. And I'm sure Kevin Callan will be in there too, just to, as somebody said, to stir things up, right? So yeah, that's a good thing. Anyways, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, and please, you know what, something even more than subscribing right now is hitting that thumbs up button. It shows everybody and the YouTube algorithm that you really enjoyed the show. So please do bop that thumbs up, and let's see what we can get, and maybe YouTube will push the show out a little bit more. Anyways, thanks for spending your Tuesday evening with us. I will see you all in about a week's time. And I urge you all to remember and keep the adventures alive. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe.